Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Slow English channel, where we speak English slowly, clearly, and naturally, so you can feel calm, confident, and ready to speak with us. I'm Daisy from London. Today, we have a very special episode planned for you here in our studio. The rain is gently falling against the window panes here in London, creating the perfect cozy atmosphere for deep learning. And I am absolutely delighted to welcome a very special guest, a dear friend, and a true expert in the field of English language acquisition. Please welcome Peter, all the way from New York.
Hello, Daisy, and hello to all our listeners around the world. It is wonderful to be back here. Although I must say, the London weather is certainly living up to its reputation today. I just flew in from New York this morning, and the contrast between the bright, frantic energy of Manhattan and this calm, gray London sky is quite striking.
We do like to keep things atmospheric here, Peter. We appreciate you battling the jet lag to be with us.
The coffee is helping, Daisy. The coffee is definitely helping. But truthfully, I wouldn't miss this for the world. You and I have been discussing the topic of today's episode for years now, haven't we? It is perhaps the single most common question I receive in my consulting work.
Absolutely. In my 15 years of teaching, I have seen brilliant students who can read complex novels and write perfect essays, yet they freeze when asked to speak. They tell me, "Daisy, I have no one to practice with," or "Daisy, I don't have time." So today, we are going to solve this problem. We are going to teach you exactly how to do 10 minutes of speaking every day.
Precisely. We're treating this episode like a master class. We want to move beyond the general advice of just practice more. That is not helpful. We need to look at the mechanics, the psychology, and the logistics of speaking. We need to build a routine that is sustainable.
Sustainable. I love that word. It implies something you can keep doing without burning out. So, Peter, let's start with the basics. Why 10 minutes? Why not an hour?
That is a great question. In the corporate world and in educational psychology, we talk about micro-learning. When I consult with executives in New York who are trying to improve their business English, they are often overwhelmed. If I tell them to study for an hour, they fail before they even begin. It's too big a mountain to climb. But 10 minutes? 10 minutes is manageable. It's the time it takes to drink a cup of coffee. It's the time it takes to wait for the bus.
And from a phonetic perspective, Peter, 10 minutes of intense focus is actually better for your muscles. Speaking is a physical act. It involves the tongue, the lips, the jaw, and the vocal cords. If you practice for an hour with bad form, you're just reinforcing bad habits. But 10 minutes of high-quality, focused articulation, that changes the neural pathways in the brain.
Exactly. It's about intensity and consistency, not just duration. So let's break this down. We're going to give our listeners a concrete plan, a menu of options they can use to fill those 10 minutes.
Wonderful. I would like to introduce the first method. I call this the shadowing mirror. This is strictly for pronunciation and intonation.
Daisy, before you dive into the technique, could you define shadowing for our newer listeners?
Of course. Shadowing is a technique where you listen to a piece of audio and repeat it almost simultaneously. You're like a shadow following just a split second behind the speaker. But here's the secret to doing this for speaking practice. You must not read the text while you do it. You must rely on your ears.
That is a crucial distinction. When you read, you engage the visual part of your brain. When you shadow blindly, you engage the auditory processing centers. You're forcing your brain to decode the sound and reproduce it instantly.
Yes, precisely. So, for the first 3 minutes of your daily routine, you choose a piece of audio, perhaps a podcast like this one, and you mimic the speaker. Now, here's where the masterclass comes in. Don't just repeat the words, repeat the emotion, repeat the music of the sentence.
The music, the prosody. In American English, we have a very specific flow. We tend to link our words together very aggressively. For example, if I say, "What are you doing?" in a natural American accent, it sounds like, "What are you doing?" It becomes one long sound.
Whereas in British English, while we do link, we often have a slightly more clipped precision with our consonants, particularly the T sound. Listen to the difference. Peter says water with what we call a flap T, sounding like a D, waiter. I say water with a true T. When you're doing your 3 minutes of shadowing, you must decide which model you're following. You're training your mouth muscles to move in a new way.
Daisy, I want to pause here for a moment of empathy. I know this sounds technical. I know that for many of you listening, the idea of mimicking a native speaker feels embarrassing. You might feel silly talking to yourself in your room.
I agree, Peter. I had a student recently, a lovely woman named Elena from Spain. She told me she whispered when she practiced because she didn't want her family to hear her making mistakes.
I hear that all the time. I remember a student of mine, a high-level engineer from Germany. He was a genius in his field, but he felt like a child when he spoke English. He told me, "Peter, I feel like I'm losing my identity." Listen to us closely. Feeling foolish is part of the process. It's the price of entry.
It is. We want to encourage you to embrace that awkward feeling. If your mouth hurts a little after 3 minutes, or if you feel strange, it means you're growing, you're stretching your comfort zone.
So that's the first 3 minutes, shadowing. Now let's move to the next segment of our 10-minute routine. I call this the narrator.
I love this one. This is about connecting your English to your physical reality.
Correct. Shadowing is about input and reproduction. The narrator is about output and creation. For the next 3 or 4 minutes of your practice, you become the narrator of your own life. You describe exactly what you are doing, as you are doing it.
Can you give us an example, Peter? Perhaps imagine you're back in your New York apartment.
Sure. So I'm waking up. I might say out loud, "I am walking to the kitchen. I am reaching for the cabinet handle. It feels cold. I'm taking out the coffee beans. I can smell the dark roast. I'm pouring the water into the machine."
Notice the grammar Peter is using. He's using the present continuous tense. I am walking. I am reaching. This is vital. Many students get stuck studying abstract grammar rules, but they can't describe the objects right in front of them.
And the beauty of this, Daisy, is that you will immediately find your pain points. You will realize you don't know the specific word for something simple. For example, Daisy, what do you call that thing in the kitchen where the water comes out?
The tap. I turn on the tap.
See, in New York, I turn on the faucet. If you're narrating your life and you get stuck, that's a golden moment. You stop, you look up the word on your phone, and then you say the sentence again. You have just learned a word that is relevant to your actual life, not a word from a textbook list you'll forget tomorrow.
I think this is also a wonderful opportunity to practice pronunciation in isolation. Let's say you're narrating your breakfast. You pick up a fork. I am holding a fork. In British English, we don't pronounce the R strongly. It's fork, long vowel.
And in American English, we growl at it. Fork. You really curl that tongue back. But the point is, you're speaking. You're generating language. You're connecting the neural pathway between the object, the silver utensil in your hand, and the English word.
It sounds so simple, yet it requires discipline. You have to remember to do it. You have to break the silence.
The silence barrier is the enemy. You can go a whole day in an English-speaking country without saying a word if you're careful. You can use self-checkout at the grocery store. You can use apps to order food. You must make the conscious choice to narrate your life.
We're about halfway through our 10-minute routine. We've done 3 minutes of shadowing for muscles. We've done 4 or 5 minutes of narration for vocabulary and fluency. That leaves us with about 3 minutes.
This final section is what I call the review and refine. This is the hardest part, but the most rewarding. This is where you record yourself.
Oh, the dreaded recording. My students hate this, Peter. They hate the sound of their own voice.
I know. We all do. Even I don't like listening to my own podcast episodes sometimes. But here is the truth. You cannot fix what you cannot hear. When you are speaking, your brain is busy processing meaning. You cannot objectively hear your pronunciation errors.
That is scientifically true. We hear our own voices through bone conduction in our skulls, which makes us sound deeper and more resonant than we actually are. A recording reveals the truth.
So, for the last 3 minutes, take your phone, open the Voice Memo app, pick one topic. Maybe summarize what you did yesterday. Speak for 1 minute. Then stop.
And then?
Then listen to it. But listen like a detective. Do not listen and say, "Oh, my English is terrible." That is forbidden. Listen and find one thing to improve. Just one.
Perhaps you notice that you forgot the S on the end of a verb. You said he walk instead of he walks.
Or maybe you noticed your intonation went down when it should have gone up. You identify that one thing, and then, and this is the magic step, you record it again.
You do a second take, just like we do here in the studio. If Peter or I stumble over a word, we don't give up. We stop, we take a breath, and we say it again.
That second recording is usually 20% better than the first, and that feeling of immediate improvement gives you the dopamine hit you need to come back and do it again tomorrow.
Dopamine? You are very scientific today, Peter. But you are right. Motivation comes from progress. If you can prove to yourself that you improved in just 3 minutes, you will feel unstoppable.
Let's recap the routine for our listeners, just to be crystal clear. 1. 3 minutes of shadowing. Mimic a native speaker, focusing on melody and intonation. 2. 4 minutes of narration. Describe your physical actions in real time, focusing on vocabulary and fluency. 3. 3 minutes of recording. Speak, listen, correct, and repeat.
It is a total of 10 minutes. It costs no money. It requires no partner. You can do it in your bedroom, in your car, or while walking in the park.
But Daisy, I want to address the elephant in the room, or perhaps the lion in the studio.
Go on.
What happens when they miss a day? Because they will. Life happens. Your child gets sick, you have a deadline at work, you miss a day. Then you miss 2. Then you feel guilty and you stop completely.
This is the emotional side of learning. I have seen so many students carry this heavy burden of guilt. They feel that if they are not perfect, they are failures.
It's a perfectionist trap.
Listen to us, please. I want to speak directly to you, the person wearing headphones right now. Maybe you're on the bus in Tokyo, or walking a dog in Berlin, or sitting in a cafe in Sao Paulo. We know how hard this is. We know that learning English feels like trying to run through water sometimes.
I have been teaching for 20 years. I have taught CEOs, diplomats, and refugees. They all feel the same fear. They all worry they're not good enough.
But the difference between the ones who succeed and the ones who stop is not talent, it is forgiveness. You must forgive yourself for missing a day.
If you miss a day, do not try to do 20 minutes the next day to make up for it. That is a punishment. Just do 10 minutes. Reset, start again.
Be kind to yourself. You are doing something incredibly difficult. You are rewiring your brain to communicate in a code you were not born with. That's heroic.
Absolutely. It's a marathon, not a sprint. And speaking of marathons, Daisy, I think I need to walk around London a bit to wake my legs up after that flight.
We can certainly do that. But before we wrap up, I want to discuss one final advanced tip for those who have been doing this for a while. How can they spice up these 10 minutes?
I would suggest the persona method. This is fun. When you're doing your narration or your shadowing, adopt a character. Pretend you're a news anchor. Pretend you're a grumpy old man. Pretend you're a hyper-energetic YouTuber.
Oh, that is brilliant. When you take on a role, you often lower your inhibitions. You stop worrying about being you and making mistakes because you're acting.
It frees you, and it allows you to play with the extremes of the language. If you pretend to be an American cowboy, you'll really master that R sound. If you pretend to be the Queen of England,
You will certainly tidy up your vowels.
exactly. Play with the language. English should be a toy you play with, not a test you're afraid of failing.
That is a beautiful sentiment, Peter. English is a toy, not a test. I hope our listeners write that down.
I hope they do too.
So, we have given you the tools. You have the shadowing, the narration, and the recording. You have the mindset of forgiveness. You have the permission to play.
Now the only thing missing is the community. You know, Daisy, when I travel between New York and London, I meet so many people. But the best feeling is when I walk into a room of learners who support each other.
That's why we created this channel. It's not just a library of videos, it's a home for people who want to grow.
And this brings us to an important point. We provide these lessons for free because we love teaching. But we can only keep doing this if we know you're out there, listening and benefiting.
By joining our community, you're taking the first concrete step towards that consistency we talked about. When you subscribe to the Slow English channel, you're not just clicking a button, you're making a promise to yourself. You are saying, I am a learner and I am showing up.
It's true. When you see our notification pop up on your phone, let that be your trigger. Let that be the reminder. Ah, Peter and Daisy are here. It's time for my 10 minutes.
We want to be part of your daily routine. We want to be the friends who encourage you when you feel like quitting.
So, if you found value in our masterclass today, if you learned a new technique, or just felt a little less alone in your journey, please do 3 things for us.
First, like this video. It helps the algorithm find other students just like you who need this encouragement.
Second, comment below. Don't just say, nice video. Tell us, what is your biggest obstacle to speaking? Is it time? Is it fear? Is it vocabulary? I'll be reading the comments personally on my flight back to New York, and I want to hear your stories.
And finally, please subscribe and hit that notification bell. Join our family. Let us help you unlock the voice you have inside you.
You have the potential to speak English fluently and confidently. We believe in you. Now you need to believe in yourself.
Thank you for inviting us into your ears and your mind today.
It has been a pleasure, Daisy. Now about that walk?
Let's go, Peter. Thank you, everyone. Speak to you soon.
Goodbye.